Hey everybody, another chilly day in the Pacific Northwest. If you haven't already guessed, it's fall. Fall is a great time of year. Look at the color, nature's palette, nature's supply chain. As soon as I get done raking all these leaves, I'm going to have a nice fall project to share with you, so stay with me. I have this great piece of madrona wood. It's got two edges on there that are live edges, and I'm going to use this wood for my project today. Thanks to my friend Margaret for giving it to me. I'm going to start out by measuring, not exact measurement here, I'm just trying to get a nice border for my project, and I'm going to be cutting both sides. I'm going to be cutting 4 pieces of these live edges, and I'm going to be cutting the edge on each piece at a 45-degree angle. That way they can make up a square. The live edge Now, I'm not going to guarantee, but I'm going to try my best to get all these live edges to match at the corners. So I get my L square and make sure that I have a true corner square. Then I use my framing square to mark the line where I'm going to cut it. And it lines up pretty good, I think. I'm going to repeat the process for all 4 corners. However, this last corner is just not going to do it, so I'm going to have to improvise and make it look like it will transition into a nice clean corner. I'm going to rough out some of this edge so it's not a sharp cut, and I'm using my Dremel to just kind of curve it down to make it look more natural. As you can see, it took away the brown of the live edge, so I'm just going to torch it with my little butane torcher and see if I can darken it up. I think that'll be a good transition. A bit of light sanding just to make it more smooth, and I think that'll do it. Now it's time to glue up all 4 corners. I have my band clamp ready in place, and I'm going to tighten it up and just leave this overnight and make sure the glue will dry. Now that it's all dry, I'm just taking my wire brush here and brushing off some of the loose edges that may or may not fall off in my process. I have my project on top of a plastic corrugated board, and now I'm hot gluing it to the board to make sure that I don't have any leaks when I do my resin fill. I'm using a 2-part epoxy resin. The first part is the resin, the second part is the hardener. I have to pour equal parts of this mix and make sure it's stirred up very well before it's poured. I'm going to be doing this in stages, meaning that I'm not going to do all the pour at one time. So it's going to be several coats of very shallow pours. just going through my little gathering of beautiful leaves. Make sure that all of them have been dried. You could get silica beads to dry them in, or in my case, I just used my little toaster oven to make sure they were dry. Now I'm going to add my layers. I'm going to allow each pour of resin to dry up a little bit before I start pouring the other stages. I've added some copper flakes into my leaf mix to give it just a touch of sparkle. I'm doing these in layered stages. That way all the leaves don't either float up to the top or sink to the bottom. I want them just to be floated in several coats of resin. And now I'm giving it one last coat just to make sure that all the leaves are covered. Time to take it off the corrugated plastic board. This is going to be a challenge, but yeah, it comes with the territory. Come on, you can do it. There, all done. Phew. Now I'm going to run this through the drum sander a few times and just get the wood down level to the top of the to make sure all the lines of the drum sander get out, as well as the bottom. As I expected, this little punky piece of wood here needs to have all these crevices covered, otherwise the resin that I pour on top is going to go all the way through to the bottom and leak out. So now I'm getting some masking tape and putting it on the bottom just to make sure that whatever resin is poured in there is not going to fall out. Now I'm going to use some 5-minute epoxy resin to fill the crevices in that hole. And after it's mixed together, I'm just using a little piece of scrap wood just to push it in really good and get all those holes covered up. Before I pour the top coat on, I want to make sure that all the edges of this board are covered with resin. That way when it pours over, it's just going to drip down freely and leave no voids of bare wood. I probably could use a different method of spreading, but for right now it's my silicone spatula. And just like the other coats, I'm going to torch them to get all the air bubbles out. This is looking pretty good to me. Nice smooth resin on the top, nice and shiny. Now the only problem is the back side has got like a frosty finish to it, which I don't want. I want it to be clear, so I'm going to sand down the whole board on the back. In order for the edges to stay somewhat smooth, I'm taping off the edges on the back side so when I pour the resin, it's not going to drip down. A nice thin coat of resin on the back will get rid of that frosty nature of the back side. Now I have found another spreader. This has a little serrated edge to it, and I know that this does the job a lot better, and my coat will be very smooth. So I want to make sure that all this resin gets applied to the back side all the way up to the taped edge. And here we torch again. So I have some handles for my tray. They're a little bit plain, but they are nice. I'm going to use some macrame cord. This is cotton macrame cord in a rust color. And I'm going to wrap the handles and give it a little bit of a rustic look. I'm using some CA glue with a spray activator, and this will make it stick right away. Now I just cut the loose end off with a pair of sharp scissors. I put some tape on the top side of my tray, and this is going to allow me to mark on the tray where my handles will be put in place. I'm going in about 3/4 of an inch in from the edge of the tray, and then I find the center, mark the center, and then from the center I go out 1.5 inches and 1.5 inches, making 3 inches total, and that's the distance where the handle holes will be drilled. Working from the back side, I'll put the screws in through the holes and gently screw them into the handle. After these are in place, I just use a screwdriver to tighten them up. So since my screws kind of protrude out the back, I do not want them to scratch a table surface. What I am going to do is to add these little plastic bumpers that I found. These are just stick-on bumpers that I will put in each 4 corners of the tray, and this will allow it to rest on top of the bumpers, not scratching the surface of your table. So here's the finished tray. I'm very pleased with how it turned out, and I hope you like it too. It's got some really great color in here with all the fall leaves and the copper flakes, and I think it just makes a really great addition to your holiday or harvest table. And I hope you can get inspired to make your own tray. is a lot of fun. I want to thank you so much for viewing my video and being a subscriber to my channel. If you haven't already, please do. There's a lot of fun videos for you to watch. Your support is very much appreciated, and I hope to have more fun project videos for you to view in the future. So have a creative day. Thanks for joining me. Bye.